So we're here sort of days after the weekend's events. Can you just give us a little bit of background on how that unfolded for your family? How did you find out? What was the...
Well, it was terrifying. I mean, I don't think anything ever prepares you for a moment like that. We had the rally on at our house. Actually, my kids were in the room with us, and I looked down, and then I looked back up, and my father-in-law was on the ground, and I knew, like instinctively as a mom, I got to get my kids out of here. This is their grandfather, you know? And so I took them out of the room, and it felt like an eternity. Eric and I waited for, obviously, him to get up, and thank God he got up. And I think that it is by the grace of God that he is here with us. And I think that a lot of people look at what happened and millimeters difference, and we would be having a very different conversation. And I think he knows that too. We were able to talk to him shortly after he got to the hospital, and I knew he was okay whenever he started cracking some jokes, and I felt good about things then. But truly, it was a really, really scary time, and we're just so heartbroken for the family, obviously, who lost a husband and a father. It should have never happened, but I hope that what we get out of this as a country is unity. I think that I've been very inspired by the messages we've gotten from people from different sides of the aisle, and I think that's a good start and a good foundation for us to go forward from here. But truly, I never thought that coming into this convention, we would just be, as of yesterday, 48 hours after a horrific situation like that.
Well, I was going to ask you, because when he came out last night, obviously it was a surprise. He had the bandage on his ear still, but he also looked sort of emotional about the reception he got. I mean, what was it like to be on that podium with him, and did he share anything with you about how he felt in that moment?
I don't think you go through something like that without it having an impact, and really, I think, changing you. He had, he's talked about this, but he had a certain speech he had written for Thursday night, and he completely threw it away and started again. And, I think that he has seen maybe something different in his role and how he can impact the country and the world right now. And I think he's taking that very seriously. And I think to come out here at the convention so close to something that he would never have walked away from, I think he knows what that means, and I think he really believes that he's here because God wants him to be here, and he's taking that very seriously. And I think it was a little emotional, honestly, for all of us to see him on that stage, or come out last night to sit up there with him. And I think it's probably going to be a bit of an emotional week for all of us in the family.
Well, it's actually interesting you mentioned his speech, because I think he told that to the Washington Examiner.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm also interested too, because, after it happened, he sort of said, he made the point of saying fight, fight, fight. And then we're seeing that kind of echo around the stadium, in the opening day of this convention. I mean, is that sort of the unity that you want? I mean, is that, how would you sort of explain, that language, but then also this moment?
Well, I think that moment for him to stand up and put his fist in the air and say that was so much bigger than that rally or people who were tuning in. I think it was really about this country and showing America he was okay, and really giving a message to the rest of the world that in some ways I see it as really, he's kind of the personification of America. And yes, we get knocked down. Yes, we have hard times. We always get back up. We always fight. We always rise to the occasion. And a lot of people are trying to criticize him for that. But I think, gosh, do we need a fighter right now? Man, is Donald Trump the person for this moment right now in this country? And when I hear him say fight, it's fight for this country. It's fight to maintain our incredible values in the country that we've had for nearly 250 years. And I think for a lot of people, it feels like we may be losing that in some senses. And he will continue to fight no matter what's thrown against him, no matter if it's impeachments, indictments, even a bullet nearly taking his life. He wants to continue the fight.
Like yesterday's big news was the VP choice.
Yeah.
my analysis of the situation is kind of it was a choice that almost was like a legacy building for the the former president. I mean, is that how you read this choice? Is it kind of like the solidification of the Make America Great Again movement?
Yeah, well, look, Donald Trump changed our party. There's no doubt. Donald Trump changed politics, if we're being really honest. He changed this party, and it really is about, what he has done. He's welcomed so many people into our tent. This party is now, I think, fully open, and a lot of people who maybe never saw themselves as Republicans are now taking a look and they're like, I actually think I'm a Republican. He wants somebody, I think, along his side who obviously shares his same vision for this country, and J.D. Vance is 100% that person. I think they have a lot of similarities, and somebody asked me recently, said, are they too similar? I said, you can never have too much Donald Trump. But I think that J.D. is a good balance for him in a lot of ways. I think that his background really is so it's so great to have someone who has seen so many of the struggles of people in this country. He started out very poor, obviously had substance abuse issues in his family. He can relate to a lot of the things that people in this country are struggling with right now, and I think he brings that in to this ticket as well. But certainly, I think my father-in-law had in mind he wanted somebody who could carry on. Maybe it's a legacy, but I really think it's just his vision for the future of this country, putting America first, and JD certainly is going to be the best person for that.
I mean, there are some people that, maybe there were Nikki Haley supporters during the primary. I mean, do you think that, as sort of RNC co-chair, the campaign, do you think that you've done enough in terms of outreach to those more establishment Republicans, quote, end quote?
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think what you're seeing right now is truly a unified party. This is my third presidential cycle, crazy to say. I've never seen our party more unified than we are right now. Unified behind Donald Trump. I mean, my gosh, when he walked into that arena last night, the cheers from people, the whole place was basically shaking. And I think that we've done a great job in terms of Michael Whatley, the chairman, and I, of trying to make this a place for everybody, for the very, very strong Trump supporters and the people who maybe originally didn't want to support him. We've seen them come back into the fold, and I think they understand that this is the person we have to galvanize behind. This is the person who's going to take our party into the future, and this is the person who's going to win this election.
So politicians and presidents have this long history of having, long-time aides around him, and I feel like, the former president is different because he has his family around him. I mean, is politics the new sort of Trump family business? Like, what is the...
Oh man, they make it all so nice for us, politics. Why wouldn't we want to get more involved? Well, I mean, of course, the irony is here I am as the co-chair of our party, and had you asked me a year ago, I would have said, I never envisioned this. It's funny because my father-in-law, I think, knew whenever he decided to come down that escalator in 2015 and announce he was running for president, this was so much bigger than him. He sat down actually with all of us as a family and he said, listen, I'm going to do this, but it's not just going to be about me, it's going to be about all of us, because when you run for president, really, it's so much bigger than you. And I don't think any of us in those moments actually knew what that would look like. But I personally got inspired because I wanted to go out and talk about the man that I knew. I heard a lot of things said out there about Donald Trump, and I said, this is not the Donald Trump I know. Did I know anything about politics at the time? Absolutely not. But I knew that I could share the man that was my father-in-law, and that's how I started. And I think for those of us in our family, it was really about getting out and pushing back on some of the character attacks on him. And here we are today. It's been sort of a natural ascent for so many of us in the family. And I think that we are so proud to be by his side in this fight. It is probably a bit unusual to have the family so closely involved in politics. I am so honored to do this. I think that, whatever I can do to help make this country better, and I believe that is by re-electing President Donald Trump, is exactly what I want to do and where I should be. So I'm honored to have this role.
A slightly different team around him. I mean, just in terms of you taking the helm as well as sort of Don Jr., Eric. I mean, is that a little bit different from previous years? Should we expect anything different by having you guys around him as opposed to sort of, Ivanka and Jared? Or
no, look, we're all one big team, and just because Ivanka and Jared are not fully out front right now does not reflect in any way any less support. We are all 100% behind him. They're going to be at the convention later this week. You will see them here. It's just, everybody I think has different seasons in life, and I know that Jared and Ivanka are really proud of their time working in the White House. I think they made some amazing things happen during my father-in-law's administration, but it was tough. It was really tough on them. It was really tough on their family. I don't blame them at all for kind of taking a bit of a backseat role at this point. And I guess it's my turn to step up and do some things. So here I am. But no, we are all one very united team.
And will we see Barron? I feel like he got a really big reception in Florida.
Yeah.
Will we see him again?
I think Barron is coming. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll double check.
Thank you so much for your time. I
Thank
really appreciate
you.
it.